All right, if we look at the first example, we are going to be writing out and simplifying. We are going to be writing out our word sentence for the first example. If I look at the first example, we see it says X, and then there's a less than, so we can say X is less than 3. So I know that if X is less than, that makes it smaller. So I can assume that X can be any number on the number line as long as it's smaller than 3. So that tells me if I look at this, I can assume that 3 has to be on the number line. And then make sure you write a couple numbers to the left and a couple numbers to the right of the number 3. And since 3 is not less than 3, it cannot include 3, so I have to keep it an open circle. And then we said it's less than, so it has to be it can be any number less than or smaller, so we're going to go to the left for less than. We'll do the same thing for the second one, but this says X is less than or equal to. So at 3, I can assume that 3 is less than or equal to 3 because I know 3 equals 3. So that is a true statement. So I can have a closed circle for 3. And it could also be any number less than, so I'm going to go to the left. The next example, we are going to change now to greater than. So X is greater than. So that makes it any number bigger than 3. I cannot choose 3 because 3 is not greater than 3. So when we graph our circle at 3, it has to be open. And we're talking about any number bigger than 3, so I can say it can be 3.2, it can be 4, it can be 10. So I'm going to go to the right for greater than. And the last one, we see that it says X is greater than or less than, or sorry, my bad, greater than or equal to. And I can assume that 3 is equal to 3. So at 3 on my number line, I'm going to have a closed circle since 3 can equal it. And then we also want any number greater, so I'm going to go to the right. Okay, so anytime you see the word greater, you're going to end up using an arrow that goes to the numbers that are right of your circle. If it's a less than, you're going to go to any number to the left of your circle. And your circle is going to be open if there's no equal sign, and your circle is going to be closed if there is an equal sign. All right, we're going to go over solving. If we look at this example, these two examples, we're going to solve in the we're just solving basic inequalities. And we're going to solve this very similar to how we would solve an equation. So our first goal would be to get the variable by itself. So I notice I have a plus 9 here, so I'm going to do the inverse so I can move it over to the right side of the equation. So I'm going to do the inverse, which is subtract 9. And 20 minus 9 is 20. 29 minus 9 is 20. And then to get p by itself, I have to do the inverse of multiplication because it's 4 times p. So I have to divide both sides by p. And I notice I have p is less than 5. So we notice that 20 was positive and it stayed positive. So no, nothing is going to change. When I graph this, I'm just going to do a couple numbers, 3, 4, 5, 6. We know that it's a less than. So I'm talking about any number smaller than 5. So I'm going to look at my 5, and I got to figure out, is there an equal sign? And if I look at my inequality, it's just a less than, so it's open. And it's talking about any number smaller, so we're going to go to the left. We're going to do the same thing, but with the other one. We're going to subtract 14 because we want to get rid of it to get p by itself. So we have negative 6p is greater than negative 72. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 6. And when we divide both sides, we're going to get 12. We're going to get positive 12. So if we notice, our answer was originally a negative number. It was originally negative, and it changed to a positive. So when I'm changing my signs, I was originally left of 0. Now I'm right of 0. So if I change my side of where we are in terms of 0, we're going to change and reverse my inequality. So instead of it being a greater than, it's now going to be a less than. And then once we graph it, we're going to at 12. We're going to have an open circle because there's no equal sign, and it's a less than, so it goes to the left. All right. The last example that we're going to look at is, we'll just look at one where we have to distribute first. So I'm going to distribute negative 3. So I'm going to get negative 6x. Negative times a negative is a positive 15. And now if I keep looking at this, I notice my left side of the inequality is still not simplified. So I'm going to combine my like terms of 15 and 1, which is plus 16. My inequality, I'm going to copy down. And now we're going to solve to get x by itself. So I subtract. And we have 4 minus 16, which is negative 12. So I have a negative number, all right? The last step is divide both sides by a negative 6. So if I look at this, I have x is going to be less than or equal to, because we changed our negative 12 to a positive 2. So our inequality was on the left side of 0. It was on the left side because it was negative 12, but now it's on the right side because it's positive 2. So I'm going to reverse my inequality from greater than or equal to less than or equal to. Okay? Now, since there's an equal sign, it's going to be closed because I can say 2 is equal to 2. And we're also talking about any number that is going to be less than 2. So I'm going to go to the left. Okay, so our goal is to always remember whenever you divide or multiply by a negative number, that it's going to reverse the side that we're on in terms of 0. And so that means we're going to reverse our inequality symbol. All right. And you also need to always make sure that you remember if you have an open circle or a closed circle, and then if you're going left or right.